Imagine discovering a pathway that cuts through the noise of trying to heal, to instead offer you a clear, revolutionary initiation into your most connected, abundant, loved, and purpose-filled self. A place where your dreams transform into personal reality. I'm Allura Halliwell, founder of the Consciousness Method, and it's with deep gratitude that I connect with beautiful souls who have already experienced this transformative method firsthand. They'll share how it has profoundly changed their lives and led them into inner truth. Hello, Saxon. Welcome to the Consciousness Method podcast. I'm absolutely thrilled to have this conversation with you today.
Me too.
It's just been such an honor to work with you over how many months has it been now?
Was it
Yeah,
July, June, July? Yeah.
yeah. So 5 or 6 months, coming up to 5 months. So I feel having met you and knowing you well now, you are actually a pure spiritual seeker. You've been seeking, feels like your whole life, and you've been connected your whole life. So I just wanted to touch in around how things were for you when we met, and I suppose that the journey that you've been on to bring you into the space.
Well, I suppose for me, I've always known I'm a soul in a human body having a human experience, and I've broken a lot of patterns over my time, but I had a relationship that came to an end, and it wounded me at a level that was deep, which I was really surprised by. I sort of thought that I'd dealt with all of those abandonment sort of issues, that I'm not enough or I'm not worthy, but this one really cut very, very deep.
Mm.
And so I was looking for some way. I've been studying and living a Course in Miracles work with a woman in the US for the last 4 years, and that had been really helpful. But with this, I knew I needed something else, and I came across you on Facebook, and I just saw it. That's it, the pattern shift, bang, and went to that short 4 hour session with you, and then went into the mentorship. And for me, it was really about exploring why this had come up, where was it sitting with me,
Mm.
and what did I need to do to explore it. And through doing the mentorship, I realized I'd done a lot of inner child work previously, but I'd never gone back right to birth. I'd sort of started around the four-year-old area and worked through that. But what for me, being an adopted person, taken into another family where I didn't feel like I really belonged or was ever enough, or worthy. The whole thing of the adoption was that my birth mother and my adopted mother were side by side in the hospital, and my birth mother was a single mother in the 60s, and the adopted mother lost her baby. It was full-term pregnancy, and they essentially, would be illegal today, gave me the woman whose baby had passed away. And it was like there was this resentment of me. I was probably a reminder, when I look back at it, a reminder of her own blood child. And so I always used to call myself Cinderella, because that's pretty much how I felt growing up, doing all the chores. My older sister, who was her child, was treated very, very differently, and so I always felt like I didn't belong and I wasn't worthy. And so it actually came from that abandonment, wound of from my birth mother, being abandoned, and then being treated pretty, poorly. There was quite a bit of trauma in my early life. And then when I was 14, I was all on my own. So my parents had divorced. My sister was off living overseas, and I was left at 14 to fend for myself. So I've been on, on my own without a family construct since ever since, and I'm now 60. So, that was the start of my journey. I always had a deep spiritual inkling, I suppose. And, I started when I ran away from New Zealand and came to Australia when I was 17, and that's really when I met some wonderful people, and that's really when my spiritual journey started. And some of those people are still in my life, yeah, which is wonderful.
Thank you so much for sharing, Saxon, the
Mm.
journey and the deep layers of awareness that arose from going to that inception point and that entry point into the world and finding that pattern there so deeply and being aware of that.
Yeah, and like it's now that I see it so clearly through the work, that I've been doing with you. I know that, I think the four pillars for me, are really to continue to expand and break those patterns. And I've always been a healer. I know I have a healing energy, and it's really about the frequency, and the work that you do with frequency has really highlighted that for me. And it's about calibrating my frequency and being and not doing. There's actually nothing for me to do except to work on that, which was a huge aha moment for me.
And coming into that awareness of that space of the being, and I think it's such a critical zone because we stop pushing outward to try to resolve and we come very deeply inward. And some of the processes to get there can be a little bit uncomfortable because we're working directly with the pain and fear, and we're stretching reality, and we're recoding the nervous system to get more inward. How was that experience for you, maybe through the mentorships and reflections around using those processes to keep the evolution happening?
I was incredibly deep, and we talk about the pain portal, and going into the pain portal, and it really is going deeply inside it. Like for me, I used to describe it. I knew I had a couple of garbage bags that were packed down really tightly, and that was my pain portal. And it was really about opening up those bags of pain. And my experience of it was emotional, but it was like going through a void into a black space and coming out the other side into the light. Um, it was a couple of days in bed, going through it. I gave up alcohol in probably about July. And I think I did have a drink in August at a work conference, but I haven't touched any alcohol since then. That's made a huge difference to me because I realized it was lowering my vibration. And I've certainly changed my diet. I really don't eat meat anymore. It's like my tastes have changed, of what I like to eat, more fruit and vegetables. I just have no desire for many sort of processed or manufactured foods at all. And it also, I think, we talk about sovereignty and the sovereignty of boundaries and holding your energy for yourself. And I think through doing that, it also then imparts that to others when they see you able to hold those boundaries in place. It teaches them. Just
Yeah,
energetically, they pick up on it.
that's such a
Um,
beautiful reflection because the consciousness kind of spreads from us out to the people around us. So, have you noticed that, say, in work or in relationships where this shift of your own energy and awareness is shifting around you?
I've also, yes, definitely, certainly at work, because I'm there the majority of of my life, and I live alone. But in my friendships and those relationships are healthy. But at work, I'm dealing with all sorts of people from all sorts of walks of life, and I work in human resources. So, people are my are my work.
Mm.
And I've always, you know, wanted to come from a place of love and consciousness and gentleness and kindness. When people are, even when they're acting out and doing the wrong thing, I still see their soul and see who is underneath whatever is being acted out through their personality. Um, and I have noticed a shift that I've found my voice more. Um, I think I would hold back previously from talking about more spiritual things or energetic work, whereas now it's part of my vocab. It's what I say. It's who I am, and I just go with it rather than trying to suppress it or hide it. So there's a lot more of that coming through my work, and I've always, love is all there is, right? So that's it. So coming from a loving space in not reacting. And the other piece that I got is really deeply, the ego speaks first and speaks loudest. And through this work, it's really entrenched for me the voice of spirit or the voice of my higher self versus my ego reactions, my triggers. I still have them. Of course I do. I'm human. I'm working through it all, but that observer state that I can sit in now has been really powerful.
Wow, that's huge. And in terms of the resolution, because we began with you sharing around the heartbreak and the end of the relationship, how do you feel your template of relationships has shifted within you and around you?
For me, it was knowing my worth, knowing to love myself and that I'm enough. And it's certainly shifted within me. And taking I used to overgive, bit of a people pleaser in relationships, and at the detriment of myself. I would give people the shirt off my back before I'd have a shirt on myself. So really pulling all of that back, reclaiming all of that energy back into myself and being more discerning, um,
Yeah.
rather than just giving, 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 really just giving to myself first, loving myself first, taking care of myself first, which then enables me to be in that frequency where I can give. Um,
Mm.
so it's not abandoning myself anymore, like it's to feel loved or needed or any of that. It's now just me. And out of that things will, I suppose, manifest. I'm pretty
Yeah.
good at manifesting.
You are excellent at manifesting. And that beauty around, shifting the internal template and then coming into the unknown of kind of nowhere to go, nothing to do, no one to be, yet all of it. So being in a place of magnetism to what is in alignment with our inner being is
Mm,
so potent. And I know you're embarking on more study and a new career and, or an integration of a new space for you. And so do you feel a sense of, potential and possibility coming through on different levels, I suppose?
yeah, well, I don't expect to be working in a sort of a corporate environment for the rest of my life. And, I know this is the work that I need to do. And it's about, for me, it's, I have a dream and of what that is. But it's, the study that I'm doing is to be able to provide people with a safe space to unravel,
Mm.
who they are, to wake people up gently, show them their patterns, and be a bridge. And by standing in my sovereignty and my light, um, that shift I notice automatically happens.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a perhaps one of the gifts that I have. I have my spiritual gifts, is to it's a presence. It's part of the presence. But in doing that, obviously talking with people and guiding them through their own journey. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
beautiful.
will be my next step. Yeah.
Yeah, just to see you coming more into that purpose and knowing and expressing through that was is just a gift to witness you in that version of you that's, you've multifaceted, multi-dimensional, but just witnessing that version come through feels so beautiful. And so I suppose my question is for anyone listening that may be thinking, I've done a lot of work. What could possibly be in this space for me? What would you say to people that may feel like they're looping but can't see the value to be there?
I've done so much work over the years, and a good 40 years of work on myself and different modalities, and if it's right, you'll know it's right. You'll be called to come and do this work, and it's almost like the final stamp, I suppose, for me that I don't know everything. I'm not, saying that I do, but it's brought me home to myself. So if you're looking to come home to yourself, to feel inner peace, to feel rested, to feel, fully yourself, to feel the power that you have. And I'm not talking about power as in, power versus force, right? So it's that inner power, that inner light, and being able to discern and differentiate when you're coming from your source or you're coming from your ego. The ego plays out so much in our world at the moment. And, that gentleness and that kindness and that peaceful way of being is a gift that just can't be described.
Oh, thank you so much, Saxon, for sharing that. And yeah, that's, for me, it's not it's the consciousness. It's nothing, it's the consciousness that carries all that, not me,
Not anyone,
not
yeah.
anyone. It's just the consciousness.
It's being able to tap into it though, and easily, be able to drop in, and that's the key, I think. That being able to drop in at any time. Because we all get busy and we can lose ourselves in conversations and all sorts of situations that happen as part of being human. But to be able to tap into that easily, and I think that's the gift of this work is that you can really become very discerning about where you're coming from, how you're responding versus reacting.
I love that. And just finally, we just had a weekend together at the retreat. And I'm so excited because those retreats are going to be happening all next year. So I'm just curious for you, how was that experience? How was it to come and do the work live instead of online?
Well, I was a little bit apprehensive, to be honest. I didn't know what I was walking into. I didn't know how many people would be there, and I think there were like 60 people there. The energy in the room was palpable. It was beautiful. Just so many beautiful souls in a room together, and the work that we did was very, very deep, and shifted a lot of just energetic. Oh, how would I put it? It's like I had a few little dark spots energetically that were released. Um, the Kundalini for me was a huge, the activation that was a huge release for me, and a huge awakening, and not necessarily a pleasant experience, but it's not horrible pain. It's a good pain because you're releasing. But just that bringing the community together like that, and connecting with those beautiful, beautiful people was so enriching, and a highlight certainly of my year. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Saxon. I've just felt so honored to journey with you and yeah, looking forward to further explorations and more retreats and Yeah, experiencing your beautiful work as it unfolds. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been beautiful.
It's been an absolute pleasure to spend this time with you, and to say thank you, I'd like to share with you 3 beautiful meditations to explore your core wounding and a collection of masterclasses. You'll find these in your show notes. And if you feel the synergy to this path, know that it is available to you also.